Hello, this is Kathy Beatty with Divorce Support Anonymous, stepping into your Friday evening just to give you some hope, some encouragement, some help, some tools. And tonight it's going to be tools. We are going to talk about 5 things not to do when using a divorce attorney. I am very fortunate tonight in that I have a guest with me, and joining me is Mr. Peter Letzman. He is an attorney, also a mediator. And although I have held hundreds of mediations, Peter has held thousands of mediations, and he does domestic, civil rights, the whole gamut. So he is someone that I always go to when I have a question and an odd case, a unique case, I should say. So welcome, Peter.
Thank you for having me, Kathy. It's always a pleasure to share the screen with you. So let's go to work.
Let's do it. Okay, the title. And this was the title actually you suggested. And so we're going to go through your 5 points tonight, which is 5 things not to do when using a divorce attorney. So last week we talked about the 5 things to do that you need to know. And tonight we're going to talk about the 5 things not to do when you're working with your attorney. These are really, really good points, and it's going to be really helpful for all of us. Point number 1: do not expect your case to be like your friends, a family member, or your bartender. Peter, would you like to comment on that? The
Abs-
uniqueness.
Absolutely. I've had cases where where one of the parties said, "Well, my bartender said this and this," and I hesitate to ask him after how many beers, but anyway, they listen. The clients listen to various people. It's the cousins and so on, and they get information. They get information from the internet, from IA, and they think that it all applies to their case. And I need to emphasize that each case, your case, is absolutely unique. It is different. It is not the same. You have children, they don't have children. You have one child, 2 children, they have 6 children. They have 2 houses, you have one house. You have $1 million, they're totally in debt. It all varies all over the board. And the most important thing, the variations are the state laws. What you may be able to do in Michigan, you may not be able to do in New York and New Jersey.
Yeah.
And then each county court is unique. They have their own court rules, county court rules, rules of procedure. So those are a little bit unique. And then we go to the judges, the various judges that sit in the county courthouse. They are all a little bit different. So what one judge decides under his court rules, under the state law, with the factual situation that is totally different than every other factual situation. You just cannot compare that. It's apples and bananas. It's not even apples and oranges.
Yeah, and there may be a lot of similarities, but there may be just one slight difference that is enough to throw off everything. So when you see one divorce case, you see one divorce case.
Absolutely. And the solution there is ask your attorney.
Mhm.
If you're concerned about did you get did you get the best you ask your attorney, is this the best we can do?
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah.
trust your attorney. Get a good attorney, have a good relationship with him or her, and then is this the best we can do? And trust them.
Yeah, but and we'll talk later about asking good questions. But point number 2, do not ask him or her to do something unethical, such as hiding a little bit of money. I'm sure you have 100 other examples that you've run into, Peter.
Though you're absolutely right. I had a case where somebody buried some gold coins in the backyard. We have and didn't tell anyone. That
Mhm.
was just their secret stash. I have others, bank accounts in Mexico, where people just, an offshore account. Well, Mexico's not offshore, but anyway, there was and that is dangerous to withhold that type of information,
Mhm.
because the procedure in all cases is that the court needs to know the all of the assets and all of the liabilities of the parties so they can make a judicial determination on how to divide those assets and liabilities. If you withhold that, then of course that interferes with the judicial process, could,
Mhm.
interference with the process, and part of the discovery, or what we say the disclosure of assets, is the discovery. We have documents that you sign
Mhm.
under oath and testimony that you give under oath before the trial. And if you lie in those situations, if you don't tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, you may be facing some criminal charges. And one in Michigan that I can think of, Uttering and Publishing, is it's a weird name, but it's 7 years, 7 to 20 years for violating. We don't need to do
Yeah.
that.
No, divorce is complicated enough. And so the simpler and the more honest that you can be, it's going to really just help you get through this process. Don't further complicate it. It's already too complicated. Thank you, Peter. Point number 3, do not ask him or her to help you punish your spouse. I know in my opening statement, I use that and I state this is not the place to punish your spouse because again, it's already complicated enough. You need a group support, a divorce coach, a therapist, somewhere else to get out all that venom and betrayal that possibly has happened. But don't take that into your divorce process.
And we've seen a lot of that, where, it's so
Mhm.
hurtful to have the divorce. You really feel like you want to strike out at the other party, and it takes energy and it takes emotion to do that. And at the time of divorce, you've got so many balls up in the air: the children, the money, where am I going to live? What's the car's
Mhm.
got a flat tire? We've got all of these things going, and to concentrate on punishing the other party may take that energy away that should be more appropriately used on things, wholesome things, on deciding what to do with the children and parenting time and so on. You're hurting yourself by diverting that energy that you have. The best
Mhm.
punishment, if you want to punish the other person, punish them by demonstrating how successful you can be after the
Mhm.
divorce. You've got your children in school and they're doing well and they're growing up lovely. You're financially under control and you've got managed the money. May not have all the money in the world, but you've got that managed.
Mhm.
And from the outside, it looks like you are just ginger peachy dandy in terms of your life. Your spouse looks at that and says, "Hmm,
That's punishment enough.
that's punishment enough."
Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah, and
absolutely,
work on your own healing,
absolutely.
so that you don't feel that you have to go after and punish the other person. So point number 4, do not hide things or not tell your attorney everything that he needs to know about the marriage.
Would you underline that for me, please, so that and especially the bad things that you may have done in the past. We all have some skeletons in the closet that we would rather not have disclosed ever, let alone in the courtroom or in the divorce proceedings.
Mhm,
But if the attorney knows about the quote skeleton in your closet, he can develop a strategy on how to counteract that, how to get
mhm.
around that, how to minimize the impact on that. If
Yes.
you don't tell them and that skeleton shows up
Mhm,
in some court proceedings, you've sandbagged him. He isn't ready, and I'm using he, it's the generic he.
mhm,
He he doesn't know quite what to do, how to handle it, where he should go with that. The
mhm.
best thing you can do is ask for a recess and talk to you about the situation, but still, it will not be as effective
Mm.
as if you would have told him. And the judge sees that scenario going down of you not having told your attorney, and they're going to have to do some bandaging and first aid in the courtroom. So tell them, especially if it doesn't look so good for you, tell them, tell your attorney so that he can fix it or that he can be prepared to handle it in court.
Yeah, absolutely. And those things that relate to the marriage that again may be brought up by the other party. Um, it's very important. And I wish I could underline that, but I can't. They're all very important actually, because we've seen every one of these 5 points really hurt people as they go into the mediation process and prolong things. So if the more you prolong things, the more complicated it gets, the more money you're paying. So for many reasons, financial, emotional, every reason really, just keep it short, brief, honest, upfront. Point number 5, do not avoid or be afraid to ask good questions of your attorney.
Kathy, absolutely. The client has a not only right, but it's sort of a duty to know what's going on or what's going to happen in court to them. You should know where your case is going before it happens. What's going to happen at a deposition? What's going to happen at
Mhm.
mediation? What are the questions that I might be asked? All of those things, ask. Be prepared for that. Uh, how often have I heard, gee, if I had only known this, or if I had, and only known, if I had only asked for this or about this, I would have done maybe something different. Uh, and the important thing too here is fear. If you
Mhm.
don't know, if you don't ask your attorney and you just kind of go along with what's happening, you're in a quandary of what is going to happen. If you
Mhm.
know exactly what the plan is, where you're going to be, what's going, that whole, that's one element that you don't have to worry about. That's one of those things that are off of your chest. And you
Mhm.
don't have to be afraid of the court process or the deposition or the mediation or so on. Don't be
Right.
afraid to ask.
Yes, because they are working for you. And we mentioned that last week that it's important to remember that they are working for you. So we could talk really a long time about all of the things to help people using an attorney. Hopefully last week and this week is going to give you a taste of those things to watch out for, what not to do, and what to do to help you as you go through this process. It can be very, very intimidating. And so, Peter, let me ask you this. And you mentioned that another episode when I was talking with you about people are intimidated by attorneys, and understandably so, because they carry all the knowledge in a world that you've never been before. So help me help people with their relationship with their attorney. How can they really partner with them instead of feeling like he knows everything, I know nothing. I'm intimidated, he's the all-knowing one. How can we help that?
The first step in that process, of course, is selecting someone who has what could I say, almost a heart of a teacher instead of a dictator or so on, someone who's willing to teach you as the process unfolds, someone who has patience, of course, who
Mm.
understands. And this may entail talking to two or three attorneys. Don't just your cousin had this guy for as an attorney, so I'll hire him and whatever. Or he is the cheapest. I
Mm.
would be careful about you get what you pay for. Some often you don't even get what you pay for, so be careful. But be the be be circumspect about selecting your attorney, and then goes back to the number 5 that we discussed about. Don't be afraid to have conversations with your attorney, uh, and ask him. Respect the attorney's time. Attorneys are busy, and they have a lot of cases going on, your case and so on. But, be be f s what, realistic in terms of the response, and just ask him, "When can you get back to me on that?"
Mhm.
So that he understands he's got a deadline to meet, and you don't expect to have a overnight answer or the next day answer. And please
Mhm.
give your attorney a break if you possibly can. Don't call him after 5 o'clock. Don't
Mhm.
call him before 9 o'clock in the
Mhm.
morning. Maybe send him an email so that he can answer it at his leisure.
Mhm.
Uh, but be respectful of the time. I know the divorce is the only one case that you have, and that you have to concentrate it on that particular case. But if you've got a good attorney, he's he or she has probably got a handful of cases that they're working on right now. So
Mhm.
be a little bit respectful in terms of the time. But
Yeah,
the heart of the teacher.
yeah, I love that, I love that. And, I always work with people that I coach and that are in my group, helping them to be efficient with their time because I wanna respect your time because your time is costing you a whole lot of money with this attorney. So there are support systems such as a divorce coach or even in within a group to gain some knowledge that is going to help you so you're not spending all the time. There are other ways to learn about the mediation process. I've got a YouTube has over 13,000 hits on YouTube on how to use a mediator or how to understand the divorce process and mediation. So educate yourself in other ways too, so that you can respect your time and be efficient when you go into the attorney's office. So helpful.
Yeah, I don't want to prolong this, but it just opens up another avenue for education of your folks out there. Is 5 techniques of saving money when you deal with an attorney.
Yes.
Going to be the
Oh,
next segment of our uh, discussion here.
I think we'll do that next week, actually. So, Peter, thank you very much for your wisdom and for your willingness to join me tonight and to share some of that wisdom and educate people. So, the more you know, the easier and less stressful it's going to be for you. So thank you, Peter.
You're quite welcome.
So this is Kathy Beatty. I hope this has been of help to you. And please know that I'm here and you can connect with me. And I'm here as to get you through the trauma of divorce and after the trauma of divorce, because there is a beautiful life after divorce. Thank you and have a good evening.